Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Damian Bunting, Atypical Security Guard. We want to welcome you to today's episode of Bodycam. We're going to be reviewing Bodycam footage, giving you our thoughts on what we see and how things went down, and also give you a kind of a view of an officer perspective from the security side of the house. Is this something that we can do, that we can get involved in? Let's check it out.
Are you refusing to leave the property or identify your residency?
I'm about to go to the store.
Okay, so go. Get moving.
So this starts out, it says security guard thinks he's a police officer. I can already see where this is going. Looks like the security guard is interacting with someone who's inside of their vehicle. He's being recorded. Looks like the security guard also has a body camera on. Let's see where this is gonna go.
If I see you back on property, you'll be detained.
We'll post it up.
You do not live on property. You refuse to identify. And you're refusing to leave.
Who are you, dude?
Property security, it's what we're here for.
You haven't identified yourself.
I'm property security. I'm with Front Range Patrol.
Yeah, I don't know who.
33.
What's your name?
I don't have to give you my name. I'm not a police officer. You don't pay my paycheck.
I don't have to
my
give
tax,
you. I don't
your
have to
taxes
give you.
All right, so a lot of people have this misconception that private security guards have to identify themselves in terms of doing so similar to how law enforcement does, and that's not true. Certain states, I know here in Oregon, if someone asks for you to provide your certification, you do have to provide that if it's under a reasonable request. If you're having a negative back and forth, it's becoming a little contentious, a little heated, you're not obligated to produce that information. Now, you do have to show it to law enforcement. You do have to show it to the people that you're working for at that location. But in terms of just your everyday person, we're not beholden to that same standard of identifying ourselves. We definitely don't have to give our last name, our first name. A lot of times the smartest thing to do is just say that you're contracted security on that property. If you have an officer number, offer up that officer number. But one thing before we go any further, this back and forth of, you don't pay my bills, I'm not paid by the taxpayers. This is not a conversation that needs to be happening. Highly inappropriate, and it's only going to go bad. I can already tell where this is going. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the guy he's imposing over this guy in his car. Instead of like standing back, he's standing within like arm's reach of the window, and he's accusing the guy of not belonging there. And it's like, what does he know?
Very aggressive stance, very condescending tone. Like, this is already going south.
I have to give you my name.
Your taxes have nothing to do with me.
I don't have to give you my name, dude.
Okay, so I'm asking you to step out of the vehicle now, man.
So he's just opened this guy's car door. Absolutely insane. I don't know where this is happening. Clearly private property. There are certain locations where there's security police. So it can be a business, it can be a residence, it can be a warehouse, any type of situation where they do have a little bit more enhanced powers of arrest, powers of interaction. I don't see anything on his uniform that signifies him as being police or law enforcement. He did identify himself as security. He's really walking a very thin line of problems right here. What do you think?
It sounded like this is a housing complex.
Okay.
So it's not a government building. It's not like an IRS parking lot.
Right.
It's not, Homeland Security or anything. So it's not like this guy is like top tier security. So it's just a housing complex.
I'm going to say the fingerless gloves are giving a lot of red flags here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this with you tonight.
You're going to open my vehicle?
He's got his taser out.
You're on private property. You're refusing to identify, and you're refusing to leave private property.
He's twitching.
Okay, what unit?
I live here.
What unit?
I live here.
So I can advise property management.
Who are you, dude?
Who on their property is acting like an absolute child? Making threats.
Making threats?
Yeah, you told me, do you really want to do this right now? When I simply asked you to turn the music down.
Yeah, so none of this is necessary. Completely out of his lane. He's got his taser out.
He's escalating.
He's escalating. He's opened this gentleman's door. This is horrible. At this point, this is a unlawful detainment. Could be considered an arrest. This guy is clearly not free to move about because he's opened the door and he has a weapon.
I can't tell if the officer's armed. That's another thing. I see a pouch on his hip, but
he clearly has a taser
holster
in his right hand.
And that alone could be lethal.
Absolutely.
And stop smoking.
I turned it down.
As far as I'm concerned, that's a threat.
I turned it down.
And I also advised you that you need to identify.
So he said that this is his interaction started with him being caught smoking in the parking garage and his music being too loud. Yeah, none of this is necessary.
You open
or
my
at
door.
the very because you're on private property.
No, I live here.
I don't care.
I live here, dude.
I don't care. You will refuse. I've refused on several occasions.
Dude,
You've been asked several times what unit you live in.
I'm about to go to the store.
Well, it's too late for that now.
No, it's
now
not.
we're waiting for my partner.
No, it's not, dude.
Yeah, we are.
You open my door, man.
That's a detainment. That's crazy. So in this situation, you know, we as a company, we have apartment complexes in our portfolio. So I'm not a stranger to being in this situation. For you as a private security guard, what do? You find someone who's potentially loitering. You find someone who is violating, you know, some of the policies that are on that property, whether it's playing music too loud, whether it's smoking in an area where they're not able to smoke. How do you deal with that situation so that you're not putting yourself in this type of predicament? You know, you can clearly ask the person if they live on the property. They say yes. You ask them what unit. They don't want to give you that information. At this point in time, should you A, pull your taser out and detain them in that moment? Should you B, potentially just, if you have your body camera there, you clearly have access to the footage of what this person looks like. You can do a screen grab of that. You've got pictures of the vehicle and the license plate. 99.9% of the apartment complexes, if you're living in those complexes, they're going to have access to the records of which cars are allowed on that property. They're going to probably tie in that license plate to a certain unit. If you find that this person down the road does live there, they violated some sort of policy, some sort of rule, and they refuse to interact with you, that's something that you can forward to management. You let management handle that. There's never a time or a place in this type of situation where you should be detaining someone, even before getting to that point, accusing them of not living on that property. That's not necessary. Keep it professional, keep it short, keep it sweet. You have access to your body camera footage of who this person potentially is. You have the license plate number. All of that can be done in a secondary looking up of that information and then dealing with that from a policy violation with the management of that apartment complex, as opposed to you playing cop and basically arresting this person and taking from them their ability to actually move freely about. This is huge no-go in terms of what this private security guard is doing.
Yeah, that's between the landlord and the person in the car. That's not, you're not a cop. And if it did get to the point of where a taser needed to be drawn, unless it's in self-defense, you should be calling law enforcement.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not drawing it and opening their door.
And there was nothing about the way that this gentleman was acting in the vehicle where he was being belligerent or threatening that we could see, that we could hear. This is the kind of stuff that people truly hate about private security. It's what gives us a bad name. It's what gives us a bad reputation. Absolutely unacceptable. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Was this security guard out of line, or was he just doing his job? Let us know what you think, and we'll give you guys our feedback in a future video. But definitely drop your comments below. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Be great.